watchers of Spiritism Today, welcome. I am Jeanette Berger, a founder of Spiritist Society of the Carolinas. It was an honor to the Spiritist Society of the Carolinas to bring to Charlotte a Spiritist speaker, Jussara Korngold. Jussara Korngold is currently the Vice President of the United States Spiritism Council.
Jussara Korngold brings us the principles of Spiritist Doctrine and the immortality of the soul, the nature of spirits, the present life, the future life, and the destiny of the human race, provided that according to the teachings of spirits of high degree, transmitted through various mediums, collected and set in order by Allan Kardec.
Dear watcher of Spiritism Today, thank you for being with us to learn the principles of Spiritism Doctrine. Now, Bruna Paula will offer the opening prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Lord, we believe in thee because everything about us reveals your goodness and your power. Blind then is the one who does not worship you, and the ungrateful is the one who does not give thanks to you.
Hello everyone, here we are again, and today we are going to be talking at Spiritism Today about mediumship. A lot of people that are familiar with spiritual knowledge, they have lots of questions in relation to mediumship. We are going to be presenting to you today how we from Spiritism address mediumship. First of all, we have to understand that mediumship does not belong to this or that particular set of belief or philosophy. Mediumship has been around forever. We have several reports of mediumistic effects, as we say, or mediumistic manifestations in the oldest books of humankind. We will find reporters about mediumship among the Egyptians, the Celts, the Babylonians, the Greeks, Romans, and so on throughout history. According to our understanding, what is mediumship? Mediumship is when an incarnate person is capable of somehow communicate with a discarnate, as we say, or a spirit. And since, what do we need for that to happen? We need an incarnate person and a spirit. So if we have one of that side and one in this side, we will already have the possibility of this communication to take place. However, in spite of mediumship being around for so long and so many misunderstandings has happened in the name of mediumship, the witches of Salem can talk about it, you know, how much they were feared. People that have a special gift were feared about it. We like to study and to approach mediumship from this Spiritist perspective because it will show us what is the aim of mediumship. One of the questions that we might have about mediumship is how can I know if I'm a medium? Many people, when they arrive at the Spiritist Center or arrive at places that are more familiar with the topic, the first thing they wanted to know is, am I a medium? According to the Medium's book, which is a work of art, actually from Allan Kardec, compiling all the teachings from the Spirit, all of us, we are all mediums without exception. The only thing that can be different is some of us will have what we call a more ostensible kind of mediumship, while others will have more like an incipient kind of mediumship. So all of us throughout our lives will have like an intuition, a voice that talks to you, a presentiment perhaps, or you feel a presence of someone around you, but you look around and you are alone, or like a voice that talks inside your head. All of that can be a sign of a certain possibility of communication with the spirit world. But only those that have ostensive and continuous manifestations can actually be called mediums. The word medium was first coined by Allan Kardec. So before 1857, which was when the first book of the Spiritist codification was released, this word did not exist. So anything related to medium, mediumistic, mediumship is actually a word that came from Allan Kardec, or Professor Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail, as he was known at the time in France. So it's everyone, if you didn't know about it, when you're saying the word medium, you are actually quoting Allan Kardec. So go and Google his works and see how wonderful things he has done in his time and in favor of us. So the thing is, people arrive and will ask whether they are mediums or not. Unfortunately, until today, we have not a device that can tell you whether you are a medium or not. Only yourself, by analyzing the phenomena you are experiencing, and with very carefully and with right guidance, we will be able or not to determine whether you are a medium or not. It's very important for us to say that, because there are many people that arrive at Spiritist Center believing that they are mediums because somehow they are witnessing some phenomena, some manifestation, mediumistic manifestation. But not necessarily it's because they are medium, but because they may be somehow suffering from what we call a spiritual attachment or the influence of a negative spirit. They arrive at the Spiritist Center, they go through a set of treatment and stay there for the studies. After a while, they say, you know what, I came to a Spiritist Center to develop my mediumship, and now that I'm here, my mediumship is gone. Sometimes we cannot disclose that to everyone, but deep inside what I'm thinking is, thank God you're not witnessing anything anymore, because that was not mediumship, but it was actually the presence of an unwanted spirit that were actually spiritually attached to you. So those are certain points that we have to understand about mediumship. Another thing is, how are we going to attune? What kind of spirits will be giving communication through us? Well, this depends on us. Depend entirely on how I will set my mind and why and what is the purpose that I'm going to be using mediumship. So the first important basic point that we understand in Spiritism is, if I am a medium, that was a tool that I have received previous to this incarnation so that I can spiritually evolve. Having said that, how am I going to use my mediumship again? In order to help myself to learn about things that I will witness firsthand and to help others. So this is the purpose of mediumship in Spiritism. It's not to be used for trivial things, for me to know whether I'm going to win the lotto, whether I'm going to marry to this or that person, how many children am I going to have, if I'm going to be able of having a wonderful job. No, it's not for those kind of things. Mediumship is a very, very serious thing, and it has to be addressed with a serious purpose. So let's say we want to, and we have the possibility of having this interchange, this communication with spirits. Again, what sort of spirits are going to come to talk to me? Well, Mind attracts like mind. So if my desire is to improve myself, to enlighten myself, and to help others, what kind of spirits are going to approach me? Exactly the kind of spirits that will have the same intention, the intention of helping me and helping others. So those are going to be good spirits. If I wanted to use my mediumship for private matters, for, trivial reasons, the spirits that are going to approach are going to be playful spirits, not of a very high level of involvement. One thing that is very important for us to establish is not because someone has passed away that immediately this spirit is going to receive a certificate of I know it all. The same way that we leave this earth, we arrive in the spirit realm. I'm not going to become a wise person, a wise spirit, just because I'm dead to the world. So I may find in the spirit realm spirits of different categories. There will be spirits that do not know much. They may have a better understanding of the afterlife than when they were here and didn't believe about afterlife at all, but not necessarily they will have access to everything, and they can come to you and say, on day X of X year, you're going to get married. How can you know that? Because we have free will. And I can change my life day by day according to my choices. So no spirits are going to be able to do that. So in terms of what is in my best interest to do, it is exactly to try to connect with higher evolved spirits that will be able to bring with them that peaceful and knowledgeable energy, helping me to enlighten myself, to help me in my personal necessities, and also to help me through them to help others. So this is mediumship the way we understand. How can we manage to communicate with spirits? How can they have access to me? Well, we are a spirit, physical body, and a spiritual body. My spiritual body is actually what is going to make a connection with the spiritual body of a spirit. So by approaching me, we will have this sort of connection, and I will be capable then of receiving the knowledge, the message the Spirit wants to convey. Like I said before, this can be a very ostensive phenomena where I will clearly receive the message that I can do automatic writing or psychography in relation to the message that the spirits may dictate to me, or I can even go into a trance communication and speak the words, the spirit, the thoughts of the spirit. So there are several different kinds of mediumship, of the mediumistic phenomena, but we will have the ones that is more related to intuition, like I said, that all of us have. For instance, when you have someone in need that comes to you, you can say words that are going to be very soothing to the person, that are going to help the person. And many times you are inspired to say those words to help the person. Even when we are engaging in gossip, for instance, we may be the instruments of negative spirits. Spirits that, like ourselves, may like to do gossip, for instance. They can come close and they can make me like to gossip even more. So for the good or for the bad, we can attune with the spirit. It's like we are an antenna. And we can capture different wavelengths. The one that I'm going to capture is related to the way I think. It's related to the way I act. Therefore, the rule number one for us to become good mediums is to work on our inner transformation. If we want to be sure that we are going to be able to communicate with highly evolved spirits, we have to make the effort of changing. Many people come and say, oh, I receive messages from Archangel Gabriel, for instance. Well, are you that good of a person that you can have a direct link with an archangel? Maybe you are. It's wonderful. But it's not so easy for us, to be able to attune with the energy of such evolved spirits. Sometimes, even if that can be a real thing, it's not Archangel Gabriel that will be dictating the message that he wants to convey to us himself, or it will use an intermediary that will be more in tune with us, with our energy, with our human magnetism. So we have to be very careful when we are talking about this kind of phenomena. Mediumship is also interesting when we think that we, regardless of age, of gender, of where you were born, you can be a medium. Nowadays, we are seeing each time more children presenting a certain sensibility. And it's very important for us parents to be aware and to follow through the symptoms that this child may be presenting. First of all, even if we can attest that that child is actually presenting mediumistic phenomena, we should not engage this child in mediumistic actions. We have to go first and enlighten the child as to the spiritual knowledge. Because as we said, it's very dangerous. Mediumship is like playing with fire. If you know what to do with fire, it can be a great thing to yourself, to your lives. But if you do not know how to deal with fire, it can destroy everything around you, including yourself. Mediumship is the same. We are talking about dealing with the spirit world, with the invisible to most part of us. So we don't know exactly what sort and category of spirits are really approaching us. And for a child to be able to discern that is going to be much harder. So we are going to lead this child to spiritual mediumistic studies before putting this child to do any kind of work in terms of mediumship. But even then, even if we are not forcing or motivating the child to use this mediumship, it can happen that the child is still going to be presenting some sort of phenomena or manifestation. Once I had a mother that came to me, and she told me that her son, that was about 10 years old at the time, was experiencing some mediumistic phenomena. He was seeing things, he was hearing things, and he was very scared. And it seemed that, from what she described he was really seeing things and hearing things. So, of course, not knowing exactly how to deal with the problem, she came to me and said, well, please do something about it. And I remember saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to this child? And she brought the child to talk to me. And of course, a 10-year-old boy experiencing all this weird, different phenomena, not knowing what was happening to him, beginning to think that he was crazy. He didn't want to talk at first, and I didn't know how to address to him. I really prayed a lot that day. And finally, I felt that the inspiration came, because what I said next was actually something that did not come from me at all. So I started asking him if he liked superheroes. Because you see, we cannot tell a child that mediumship is something he has to hide. Because everything that we tell someone that you have to hide, it's because it's not a good thing, right? You're just going to hide from the world things that are not good. So I could not tell him just, don't tell anyone, hide from the world, don't tell your friends, because then what would be his first conclusion? This is something bad. This is something that I should not be sharing with no one. So I couldn't do that. I didn't know what to do because I knew I couldn't tell him as well, go and be well with your mediumship, with the phenomena or something like that. So I asked him, do you like superheroes? And he said, oh yeah, I like it. At the time, there was they had just released the last Spider-Man, which I like as well. I love all the superheroes. And then I said, oh yeah, I like Batman, I like Spider-Man. And have you noticed that they use their gift to produce good to the world, right? They are all good. And he said, yeah, that's right. They are all good. They use their ability, to help people. And I said, and have you realized it as well that they do not tell people that they have a special ability? No one knows who Superman and Batman and Spider-Man actually is, right? And he said, yeah. I said, you have to do the same with your mediumship. It's a wonderful gift that you have to use to help the world, but because you are humble and you're not going to be bragging about, especially about something that you have and others don't have, you don't tell anyone. So go and be a superhero. He left there so happy, and I was happy too, because I tell you, for real, I don't know from where this inspiration came through, but I actually thank the good spirits for that. So for us as well, it's the same thing. We have to understand that as mediums, we are not special. And if we have received this ability, it's actually to produce some good to the world. So we have to do our best with that. Otherwise, we are not going to be putting it to a good use. And we are going to miss the opportunity of personally grow with the experiences we may have, and also not do our share, our participation in helping the world. One thing that is important to know also about mediumship is whether if you are a medium, you are a medium. If you're not, there are no shortcuts to do that. No one weekend courses that will transform you in a medium. No certificate in your wall that you attend the course will make you a medium. What may happen sometimes is that mediumship may appear very late in life. We have the exceptional example of the Swedish man that is called Emanuel Swedenborg. He was a very famous scientist at the time. And one day, when he was 55, all of a sudden, being about 400 miles from his home place, he started describing what was happening to his city that was taking fire, that was on fire. And I mean, we are talking about the 1700s. There was no way, you could receive in real time the message that something was on fire. And from that point on, his mediumship just unfolded like, he was capable of receiving and communicating with the spirit world in an incredible way. So the thing is, we may not know that we are mediums. So yourself that are at home now hearing us talk, maybe you will say, oh, I'm not a medium. We don't know whether you are or not. It doesn't matter exactly how old you are or not, because it can be presented at a very, very early age, or even at in the later days of your life. So we don't know. But the thing is, regardless of how old you will be when you may present phenomena, there is just one way for us to use that. It is for our personal growth and to help others. So this is what is important about mediumship. We may, through courses, of course, we have to enlighten ourselves. We may get to know, have the knowledge how to deal with mediumship. But to unfold mediumship, no one can do that for you. Either you have that, because it's even a physiological thing. So we reincarnate with the possibility, physiological possibility already, of opening up and receive communication from the spirit realm. And like we said before, we see mediumship all around. Each time more nowadays, we've been seeing even sitcoms on TV that show the shows about mediums and explain how they can get in communication. We always have to be very careful about how we are going to be accepting, because, and this was really a problem here in this country, because mediumistic phenomena dominated the world from the moment the Sister Fox in 1848 started communicating with a spirit, or its particular spirit that was in their home. So from there, what happened here in Hydesville in New York in 1848, the phenomena starts traveling to the world. And it was in this way that it arrived in France. And when it arrived there, Professor Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail was several times invited to participate in one of those seances, but he refused because he was a scholar, and that seemed to be, completely irrational. Tables turning and talking to people. He said, a table doesn't have a brain. How can a table respond to you questions? Until, finally a friend insisted that he would go there and witness the phenomena. And when he witnessed the phenomena himself, he said, there is something behind that. Because yes, there is, the table is answering questions. And it's answering it in the correct way. But how can this be? And it was when he started collecting information and analyzing in a very scientific method how were possible for the table to respond. And he came to the conclusion, of course, that it was not the table, but a force, an intelligence behind the phenomena, behind the table, that was actually getting the answers correctly. And from that point on, it was when he developed this methodology of sending, for instance, one same questions to different mediums all around, and he would get the same reply from mediums that could not get in contact to each other. So it was a very precise method that Kardec used before he disclosed mediumship to the world. There are two different kinds of mediumship. We classify mediumship according to what we have in the Medium's book by Allan Kardec as being mediumship of physical manifestation or mediumship of intelligent manifestation. Let's start with the first one. What is mediumship of physical manifestation? Mediumship of physical manifestations are those that are going to impress our eyes. Everyone, whether you are a medium or not, will be capable of witnessing the phenomena. Let's say that this glass, please don't run, okay? It's just me, my hand moving it here. This glass all of a sudden it starts moving around here without my hand holding that. You can see that at home. People can see that here in the studio. This would be what we call a physical phenomena. Regardless whether you are a medium or not, you will see that. A spirit is going to materialize and people will run. Don't run. Remember, I told you, you don't need to be afraid of spirits. And everyone will see. So this is what we call physical phenomena. Intelligent phenomena has nothing to do with whether you have a degree or not. Those are phenomena that will bring messages that our brain are going to process. So most of the time, those are written messages through the process that we call automatic writing or psychography, or through the voice that we call trance communication or psychophony. So those are the kind of mediumship that we call intelligent phenomena. Whether, like we said, we are going to have that or not depends on whether we came with the possibility of becoming a medium. The way mediumship may appear in our lives may be in a very natural, very soft way, or a very disturbing way. Thank God, not many people present this kind of what that we call the trial mediumship. So those are people that will have mediumship so present in their day, even in their daily lives. That is actually very disturbing. The eclosion of mediumship in a natural way, we will start, feeling, perceiving things, even seeing things, but it will come in a way that you will little by little be capable of dealing with that. Mediumship will never make you ill. However, depending on the kind of spirit that is approaching you, if it is a spirit that is a very ill spirit that died in a very difficult circumstances, and it approaches you at a certain point, you may feel and reflect in yourselves the illness of the spirit, or the way the spirit is not feeling good. And even in terms of emotions, sometimes you are okay and all of a sudden you start feeling depressed for no reason. Well, start praying, okay? Because if you are, everything is good, and all of a sudden you start having negative thoughts, depressive thoughts, it may be that somehow a spirit found you and got closer to you, and you are actually reflecting the mental state, the mental outlook of this spirit. So the best way to do is actually to pray. The symptoms for us to be aware whether we are mediums or not, it can go from shivers, mood changes, mood swings, and extreme irritation, perhaps lack of sleeping, a certain negative feeling. So by listening all that, I imagine that you at home is already thinking, oh my God, I'm a medium, I have all that. I feel depressive, I am irritated, I have those mood swings, I don't sleep well at night. Well, There are physical reasons for that may not have anything to do with the presence of spirits, but there is also the presence of the spirits around you. So, like we said, if a spirit that is in a depressive mental outlook approaches you, you may start feeling this depression yourself, but it doesn't mean that you have to keep in this state. You just acknowledge perhaps that presence, start praying to help the spirit, and the spirit will then move away. As we said before, and that is very important, we don't need a guru to teach us or to lead us in the way of mediumship. What we need is actually enlightenment. We have an American that wrote a book explaining that his name is Malcolm Gladwell, that in order for us to be considered experts, or to be able to say to someone, I'm good at this, it can be at cooking, at dancing, at playing the piano, or understanding about physics or geometry, whatever, you need to put 10,000 hours. Well, in order for you to say that you really understand about mediumship, you need at least 10,000 hours. Mediumship, to get to know the intrinsic ways of mediumship, it requires a lot of study. It requires a lot of knowledge. Because like we said, we are dealing with invisible beings, with invisible forces. And the way for us to take advantage in the sense of benefiting from the presence of spirits and learning from them, learning from their experience from the teachings they are going to bring to us, it is important for us to know how to deal with that. So 10,000 hours means more or less if you dedicate 1.5 hours each day, 24 during the 7 days of the weeks, 1.5 hours, you have to be dedicating to that close to 20 years. So it's not a weekend course that provides you with a certificate that will classify you as a medium. You may start the process of understanding, and it's very laudable, but remember, the more we study, the better prepared we will be to actually utilize mediumship the way it was provided and the reason why it was provided to us in the first place. So there are certain things that are very important. We have a mediumship group and we have been practicing mediumship for many years already, and sometimes people approach the Spiritist Center asking whether they can or not join us in our mediumship meeting. So my reply is always going to be the following. I say, well, we have a list of requirements. It's not closed, it's open to anyone. But we have this list of requirements. And the last topic of the list is you being a medium. Mediums, the medium Chico Xavier once said, mediums are like grass. The more you pull them out, the more they grow. We have mediums all around. We are all mediums, like Kardec said. But mediums that do understand the mission they were entitled to, help others, produce good to themselves and to the world, are very few. Mediums that will be committed to the seriousness of the task are very, very rare. People that will commit to study and to understand what mediumship is are very rare. So, but it's not up to us. It's up to the person actually deciding No, I want to do that. I want it to do in a serious, disciplined way, and I'm going to prepare myself to do that. So in this way, everyone is welcome. But without that, we know that we would put in the work at risk, because we would be opening our doors to unwanted spirits that would try to destroy the work that we are doing. So one of the things that we have to think about mediumship is mediumship doesn't mean that we are saints. It's not because this person is a medium that, oh my God, this person needs to be worshipped. On the contrary, mediumship is a possibility, like we said, that we receive it in order for spiritual personal growth. So for you to have an idea, is the conversation before we reincarnate and becoming a medium is more or less the following. Well, I'm looking here at your file, your previous incarnations. Doesn't look good. It's really difficult. So if you want to move up, we have only two possibilities for you. It's like, when you go to college and you talk to your counselor there, and he says, well, you wanted to graduate as a medical, in a medical profession, you need to, do this, go to those courses so that you can receive your graduation. So in order for us to spiritually evolve, we also need to graduate in certain areas, in certain subjects. So they will say, the best thing for you to do now is either you can reincarnate as a medium, or you can come presenting some serious mental illness, for instance, or physical impairments. What do you think we are going to be choosing? Of course, we say, oh no, being a medium seems a very nice choice, We come here, we start getting, involved with the material world, and we put aside that particular area that we should be nurturing and using in benefit of us and benefit of others. So it doesn't mean that we are saints or that we deserve more praise than others. It means that we want to advance, and it was provided to us a tool for us to use for our personal advancement. So in this sense, without understanding of mediumship, without using that for a good, it's going to be very hard for us to be productive in this sense. Finally, there are some people that arrive at the Spiritist Center saying, you know what, these things are happening to me, I don't like them, please remove them from me. Like, you have a dirty piece of clothes and you go there and use Tide and remove everything, the dirty. It's not like that. There are no possibility of us removing mediumship. But like I said before, it may not be mediumship. It can be just you being spiritually attached by some spirit that are producing all that, and if we can move away this spirit, then things are going to go away. So they are very adamant in saying, I don't like it, remove it from me. I said, well, no one can do that. The same way that I cannot make you a medium, I cannot make you as medium. But there is one important thing in this area. Again, let me stress this fact. Why do we receive the gift of mediumship in the first place? To help in our personal growth and to help humankind. If I'm a medium and I do not want to use this gift because somehow I'm afraid of that, in the country that I live, people are going to look at me as if I'm a freak case. What you can do is dedicate yourself to good. Go volunteer in some place, because what you cannot miss is the opportunity of doing good for yourself and doing good to others. And then nothing is going to happen with you. And this is contrary to what some people believe, that if I'm a medium and I do not use or practice my mediumship, I'm going to go crazy. No, you're just going to go crazy if you don't do something good instead of using your mediumship for good. But there are other people that arrive there all so enthusiastically about, oh my God, I'm a medium, so certain things are happening to me. And those people are the ones that I actually have more fear about, because they come with such in such a way, in such a hurry to learn about everything, that I know that they cannot keep up. It's like, burning candles in both sides. We live in the material world. We have to deal with our things in the material world, which does not prevent us to take care of our spiritual side as well. And this is something that we have to be always careful about. The best way for us to actually be start understanding about mediumship is to go to places that are going to be offering you a course that will be indicating to you and telling you what I'm trying to tell you here in 50 minutes, giving you basically the ABC of mediumship. But then you are going to be stressing more, understanding more about how the phenomena occur. So you'll be having a way of utilizing that in the good sense. So certain things that we have to do to become good mediums. We have to strive to become good person, to rid ourselves from vices. And when we talk vices, we talk about addictions as well. Any kind of addiction may get in the way of us attuning with the spirit realm. So it's important for us to try to rid ourselves from addictions, to try to put ourselves in a better mental outlook, so that we can be more open to be capable of communicating with spirits of a higher order. Another thing that is very important is for us to have the habit of reading uplifting books. A book of your choice. In Spiritism, we have over 100 titles in English already. So every time we are reading uplifting books, and there is one in particular that I love and that I recommend people to read, that is called Paul and Stephen. It's from the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier and the Spirit Emmanuel. To me, that book is going through a healing session. When you read that book, it's like you're healing yourself, because it puts you in such a state of emotion and in such vibration, and you create an atmosphere around you that allows the good spirits to come to you and actually to heal you physically, emotionally, and spiritually speaking. So there are plenty of good books for us to read that will help us in this journey to spirituality. We have to learn to be good. That's an interesting one, because primarily we are not good. We are trying to be good. We have to exercise goodness. Goodness is not something that just happened. We Spiritists believe in reincarnation. And believing in reincarnation, we know for sure that I am today better than I was in the past. Even yesterday, this is what I strive to be, better today than I was yesterday. So my past is, remember that file? Doesn't look good, right? So I am much more this past of, wrongdoings than I am that person that already see the lights at the end of the tunnel, and I want to go to the light. So now I'm in the position, like you yourselves, we are in the position that we understand the light, we see the light, but we still have to make a huge effort to walk towards the light. And so learning to be good, exercising good, controlling yourself to put good out in the world is very important. And of course, finally, prayer, the belief is always going to be something very important in our lives. Remember that mediumship means actually nothing. And I'll repeat that. Mediumship means actually nothing if you do not improve yourselves from that, and if you do not propitiate from your gift help, assistance, comfort, and enlightenment to others. This is the main goal of Spiritism, and this is the main goal of mediumship, the way we Spiritists understand. I hope that with this little ABC of mediumship, you're now inspired to pursue more knowledge, more understanding. Please, I welcome you to join us, to start a dialogue with us. You can find us at the United States Spiritist Council, Tri-State Spiritist Federation, Spiritist Group of New York. So just go and check.
Dear watcher, thank you for watching the Spiritism Today.
We would like to thank our Spiritist speaker, Charlotte Mecklenburg, to bring us the understandings about principles of a Spiritist doctrine in Charlotte.
Now, Bruna Paula will offer the closing prayer.
Give us this day our daily bread, give us the necessary food for our maintenance of our physical strength, and also give us the spiritual nourishment of a development of our spirits. Celestial friend, please magnetize our water. Thank you, Lord. We hope you can join us when watching the Spiritist Today next month. Goodbye.